back to the Completely Clueless podcast. I am your host, Sarah Alice Liddy. We're back for another week, my Clueless Queens. I feel like that's the name I'm going for right now is Clueless Queens, Clueless Community. That is us. And we're still here in my childhood bedroom. And I have my Tom. I'm starting to call my Tom, just for like safety reasons for the next 4 years of my future. You know, I heard we're not tracking anymore, so I maybe shouldn't be giving this private information away about what Tom is, but let's just keep it within this community. But Tom has arrived. He arrived. No, it can't be a he. They, I think it should be a they. They arrived yesterday and I'm feeling blah. Blah, 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 blah. I'm feeling very blah. I have acne all over my face. It's almost 4 o'clock, which means that it's going to be pitch black dark out. I didn't get out of bed till 11 a.m. this morning. And so life is just feeling weird right now. And I'm trying to be okay with that. You know, it's my first week of unemployment still. And the first couple days of my unemployment, there was a lot going on. You know, I was trying to get the podcast out. All the podcast stuff and editing is very new to me. So I'm trying to figure out timelines, and my Wi-Fi in my house freaking sucks. So it just takes so long. Like, no, you guys, I was downloading the episode onto Spotify for podcasters, and I had it going for like an hour and a half at this point, and it was like 95% like almost uploaded. And then it just crashed. The website crashed. I was like inputting my information, like the title and the description and whatnot, and it just crashed. And I nearly lost it. I nearly lost it because it was like maybe 10:30 or like 11 on the night before that the episode comes out. And I was just like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, you have to be kidding me, right? So I ended up having it like upload overnight, but still like just a lot of things were happening at the beginning of the week. And then Wednesday came, and I'm going to get to Wednesday in a second, but basically for the rest of this week, I have completely rotted. I've stayed up till like 1 or 2 a.m. watching Gilmore Girls. I've been chilling, sleeping, being in pajamas, still doing stuff for like the podcast and my content, but like not like hitting the floor running, whatever that expression is. Like, you know, trying to ease into it. I'm trying to tell myself that if I do one thing a day, that's good enough. Like, I have the tendency to want to change my life all in one day. I think I said this last episode. I think a lot of people want to do that. It's like you have this goal, or you're, you know, in this new phase of your life, and you're like, let me just fix it all in one day. And it just doesn't happen that way. And then we can like start to feel bad about ourselves pretty quickly because of that. So I'm trying to just like remember, like, you did one thing. And usually I do more than one thing. I'm like, I edit 2 vlogs. Yesterday I like filmed 3 TikToks. And I was like, girl, like, when's the last time you just like filmed 3 TikToks because you wanted to and because you had the time to? So this week has been a little weird. I think it also feels weird because I'm waking up at like 10 o'clock in the morning, and then by 4 o'clock, it's literally like dark out. It is so dark. And so there's not many hours of sunlight. So I'm realizing that like while, you know, I think it's okay to be easy on myself and chiller on myself for like the next couple of weeks, like I do need to get up a little bit earlier because the sunlight is fleeting. And I think that's what kind of sends me into a spiral. Like, I sat down to record this, and like it's 3:50 right now. And like by the time this is done, it's going to be dark. And like, I really, really don't like that. And the thing is in New York, at least around 2 o'clock is where you can feel the sun changing. Like, you can feel it going down. You can feel there's more shadows and it's a little bit darker out. So like, it's like if I'm waking up at 10 to 11, 11 to 12, 12 to 1, that's like 4 hours of like full on sunlight. And then before I know it, it's like the day is done. So I encourage you as well, if you're feeling like you're already like, whoa, the mental is not feeling great from this like weird ass thing that we do where we move the motherfucking clocks, like, just be aware of it and do what you got to do so that seasonal depression and, your mental can stay as good as it can be. I'm definitely somebody that struggles with seasonal depression. I feel like every single year it's like, how bad is it going to be? Last year it was pretty bad. So I'm hoping that the world is going to want to be easier on me this year. Like one bad year, one better year. You know what I mean? Like at least that's what I'm thinking about. Anyways, let's get to Wednesday. Let's talk about it. There is a lot of discourse online right now about creators that have platforms speaking out about this election, about how they voted and whatnot. And look, I don't know if I fully believe that you need to disclose like your political like views and opinions. However, I am. And I'm going to do that because let's be real, you guys. Like I would never fucking vote for that imbecile, that sad excuse for a human being. Like I would never, ever vote for him, especially being a woman and being a queer person. Like that is a double whammy. Like not only does this man and the people behind him want to like restrict my rights as a woman, but they also want to do it as a queer person. And both of them terrify me. I think when I woke up on Wednesday morning, I like tried to dissociate as much as I could because there's just so much about the next 4 years, about the future that feels really uncertain to me. And that is so scary. And I imagine it is very scary for very many of you, taking that a lot of people who listen to this podcast are women and they're queer. I'm sad. I'm disappointed. It's really hard to speak about, especially as somebody with anxiety, because I don't know what is in store. And while I want to hope for the best, believe that things are going to be okay, there's also this very big part of me that's like, what the fuck is going to happen? What's going to happen to women? What's going to happen to queer people? Like, yes, I do live in New York, but like, am I, even safe from that? Federal law does not make me safe from everything, doesn't make you safe from everything. And it is scary. So to clear the air, yes, I voted for Kamala, like Kamala Mamala. Of course I voted for her. And I did not vote for Trump in 2016 either. At least I don't know who made the Constitution, but I feel like we should all have a talk with that person because like and I think many people do not agree that a convicted felon can be the president of the United States. Like I just cannot believe that is even allowed. Like the fact that he can't vote, but he can be the president of our country. Like I'm just dumbfounded by that. And I'm dumbfounded by people excusing all of the things he has said and done to women over the many, many, many years. I don't like him. And that's that. And that's my view. And I want to uplift minority voices as somebody that is a woman and a queer person. Those are my lived experiences. So that's what I can speak to on this podcast. But I want this podcast to champion minority voices. I want to support those people. I do not want to alienate those people. And I want you all to know that this is a safe space. And if you need to DM me and you want to talk because you feel like there's other people in your circle that aren't safe for you, like I am here for you. I get it. I know what it can feel like to be around people with opposing political views and to feel unheard and unlistened to and unsupported. And it's not a great feeling. It really isn't. And it's something that I'm struggling with. And I know a lot of you are probably struggling with too. So just know that I'm here for you. I am on your side. And that is where I stand. If you had any questions about it, and I hope you didn't, I put something up on my story, but like also as a woman and a queer person, I hope you knew where I lied and where I lay. And I guess we'll see. Like that's that. We'll see. And I'm hoping that this can be a positive distraction for you today. When I recorded my last episode, it was the day before the election. I was hopeful, so I didn't say anything. And I just wanted to make sure that I put something in here about this because I don't want to just, move forward without saying anything. And I know that everybody has different opinions on how we move forward and whatever. And I want to try and bring some good vibes, some good energy to your life with this episode, with this podcast. So that's what I'm going to intend to do on this episode. And if you're not feeling that right now, if you're like, Sarah, this is not the vibe, not the energy, like, you can totally click off. I will not be offended. I get it. Everybody needs to protect their peace and do what they need to do to cope at this time. So just know that I support you in any way that you want to do that. Anyways, I talked about the sun already. I'm looking at my notes. And now I feel like I need to tell you guys a confession. I need to tell you a secret. And that is I did not clean my room. It's still a mess in here. It's still a mess outside. Again, we rotted for a couple of days. But I did say I was going to give an update. And I did want to be honest that I didn't clean. And you know what? Sometimes we say we're going to do things and we don't do them. And that's okay. But you know what I did do this week, you guys? Crazy. And I did it before I started recording. So if my voice is sounding like a little warmer, a little nicer today, it's because I warmed up for 5 minutes before this episode. And I did it before the last episode too, which is very weird because I haven't been in a normal singing schedule in a while. And I'm trying to face my demons. I'm trying to face my fears. You know, I've talked about my journey with theater on this podcast. And I'm actually going to talk about that a little bit later in what we're talking about today. But something that I want to do with this like time off and time to myself is just kind of like try and get back to some of the things that I really loved and enjoyed about life. And especially right now, like I need that. And so starting with a small step. I'm not trying to even sing a song or do like 30 minutes of like vocalizing. I'm just doing some lip trills for like 5 minutes from my old recordings from school. And it's really making me miss my voice teacher. My voice teacher at Elon, her name is Julie. She was by far the most influential teacher that I had at school. She was such a mentor and a guider, and I miss her so much. I'm probably going to reach out to her soon for a lesson. But again, a small step at a time. And to hear her voice, even in this capacity over voice memo, is just like so refreshing. And I'm doing a lot of the things that I did when I first got to school because I know my voice is very like a little bit more weak. It's like a muscle. I got to get it back to where it was. So that's something that I'm doing and trying. So we'll see how it goes and all of that. But just wanted to say if my voice sounds really nice today, it's because I warmed up before this. But something else that's kind of giving me joy this past week and honestly through this huge season of change in my life is Gilmore Girls. Gilmore Girls, the girls are like with me right now. And I just like had to talk about it because I know there's those girlies that watch Gilmore Girls every single fall. And if you're one of them, like I need to know, please DM me because I haven't watched Gilmore Girls since 2020. And I actually like totally influenced my mom and like she became obsessed with Gilmore Girls during 2020. And so I'm back in Stars Hollow right now. I am sitting at Luke's every single day with a cup of coffee and the Gilmore Girls because I am watching it nonstop, especially this week having this open free time. Like I've just been binging. And something about the show just makes me feel so good, so warm, and so happy. And I just like had to talk about it a little bit. Like there is so much stuff that happens in the show. And I just totally forgot all the different like big scandal elements that happen. Like first, you know, there's this whole debate. Are you Dean, Jess, choke on my spit. Are you Dean, Jess, or Logan? Everyone's like, pick a side, sort of like with with Twilight. Like, which boy do you want Rory to end up with? Number one, I have to state that I think Rory, in like today's world, if we were doing a Gilmore Girls and I was directing it, I would want Rory to experiment a bit. I feel like Rory gives bisexual energy. And I think Gilmore Girls lost out without giving Rory a little bisexual arc. Like, I feel like she went to Yale and like tried some things. That is my opinion. Like, she feels very bisexual to me. However, she's not. And so we will talk about the three men, Dean, Jess, and Logan. In my opinion, Jess is in this show for like 2 seconds. I'm on season 6 now, and I'm just like, this man had the smallest arc ever. Like, so the fact that he is like listed in the three men, look, I get why he is. Even though he was only in her life for a short amount of time, he had a big like impact. But like Rory didn't even have sex with Jess. Like, I don't know. Like I question how strongly Rory felt. Like I feel like Jess was the bad boy that Rory was in lust with, not like really in love with. I think when she dated Dean, like earlier, like the first season or two, she definitely was just like, cool, like I have a boyfriend and his name is Dean, and Dean was needy as fuck. Like I don't really think, I mean, I think she liked Dean, but like I don't think she was like really like had the hots for Dean. So then when Jess came along, she was like, oh my God, I'm feeling all these things. And then I think when when Rory and Dean unite, that is when she really kind of maybe has some stronger feelings for Dean. However, I feel like those relationships, like they were high school relationships. Like think about your high school relationships. Like I'm thinking about mine. They were disasters. And while I think I had strong feelings for those people, I'm not 100% sure like I loved those people or knew what it meant to like actually love somebody. I think you're a teenager. There's a lot of hormones running inside of you. Like you're in lust, like for sure. But I really feel like there's this like deep connection with Logan. And I know Logan is just so bad. So bad in front of parents. Like, I'm like, Logan, pull through, because I feel like when he's with Rory, he's so great. Like, he understands her and he supports her and they can be fun and goofy together. But I don't know what happens to him when he gets in front of parents. He just crashes and freaking burns. And I feel like it makes him look worse than he like actually is. And look, I'm only like in the beginning of season 6, like I don't remember if he does anything bad or whatnot. But I really like those two together. And maybe it's because like at this point in the series, Rory is mature and I'm seeing her in this light and I'm just like, Dean and Jess couldn't do it for Rory. Couldn't do it for Rory. But look, I get the bad boy appeal. I love a bad boy. I love someone with a little bit of edge on them. Like I love like a past that I'm going to expose myself, you guys. I'm just going to expose myself again, like I always do on this podcast. But something I love about my partner is they have a little bit of like a bad boy past, a little bit of a risque past. I love that it's in the past, because if it was in the present, like I would not deal with that shit, but it's in the past. And so like it gives them this edge. Even like when we were like younger and I met Olivia, like they were just so different than anybody I had like come across. Like I was a very preppy young girl. So were my friends. We were like, just like your average gals. And Olivia was just so different than that. And I think instantly that intrigued me. Like the music they listened to was different. The way that they dressed, like the things that they talked about, like it was just like different. And also like it was Tumblr times, you guys. And Tumblr times, like gosh, the things that I reposted on my Tumblr were just like I look back on it, it's so deep and so just like emo, like teenaged angst, but like that was just like so them, and that just like, oh my God, it was for me. And so I love that edge. And so I get Rory and wanting an edge there and not wanting somebody that's like as quote unquote like perfect as Dean, even though I think as he gets older in the series, like he isn't as perfect. And I just don't think he can handle Rory's success. I think he gets intimidated by it. I think Jess does too. I bet Logan does too, because what man doesn't get intimidated by a woman's success? Just saying. And then, oh my God, Emily and Richard splitting up. Like I totally forgot that was a storyline, and they're split up for like a long period of time. And I don't know, as a 20-something, like it kind of gives me this like, it made me take a deep breath for a reason. For a reason. It made me take a deep breath a bit because it showed me that you can be married to somebody and you can go through a rough patch. And it doesn't need to be as rough as like, Richard moves out to the pool house or whatever. It doesn't need to be like that. But like, it shows you that marriage, like in marriage, you will go through rougher patches and that you can make it through. I think a very big fear of mine is divorce. My parents are happily married. They've been happily married for 26, 27 years, which is incredible. And I think I've always just had this fear of divorce for them, for myself. Oh my God, I want to be with somebody for the rest of my life. And everyone talks about how marriage is hard. And while I'm not ready for marriage currently, it's just scary, it's intimidating. And so I think watching those two characters, have a rough patch for a couple months and then come back from it was very encouraging as a 20-something. It made me feel okay, take a deep breath. You aren't always going to get along with the person you're with. You are going to go through rough times, rough years, rough months, etc. And you can come back from them. And I mean, I have lived that in my own relationship, but watching it on TV, especially with those two, was just super, super fun for me. And also now I'm at the point where Lorelai and Luke are together and they're engaged. And it's just so exciting. The excitement when they get together is just you're so happy. Lorelai and Luke, I wish they had a child and had it named Lucy. Lork. Oh my God. Luke, Lorelai, and Lucy. How cute. The LLL. I love that. It would have been very, very, very cute. But yes, Gilmore Girls is just giving me so much life right now. And if you need a comfort show right now, I highly suggest, especially if you've never watched it, it is such a good watch. It's a show that kind of like with Sex and the City, a show I believe women should watch, especially if you want to watch it, maybe not you have to watch every episode with your mom, but it's about a mother and a daughter. And I think it's so great to talk about that with your mom and share that with your mom and whatnot. So I fear that I left a big portion of my job quitting story out of the last episode. And honestly, that's okay because I don't think I would have been able to get through it all in one sit down. It's a lot of thoughts and feelings and experiences. So I actually got quite a few DMs from you all this week. And I want to say, one, thank you to everybody that reached out and was congratulations, good for you for standing up for yourself, for knowing what's best for yourself, and for taking the leap. You have no idea how much that means to me to have your guys' support and to be seen by you guys. When I'm here in my room by myself, it literally, I forget people listen to this, and it makes me so happy when I hear responses back and we can talk about the things that I'm speaking about on the episodes, especially because I'm doing this alone now. More than ever, this feels very lonely, and I'm trying to figure out how to make it have more community. So to talk with you guys on the internet is just so fun. So thank you for your encouraging words. But something else that quite a few of you asked me, and I've been asked on my TikTok as well as I've released some vlogs and things about my last day at work and whatnot, is what is next for you? So you quit your job, what are some of the rational things that you had in place so that you could quit, and what are you going to do next? And that is a big motherfucking question, you guys. Come on. No, I'm just kidding. It is such a valid question, and it's something I've been thinking about a lot, and I'm going to be so real with you right now. I have no clue what is next for me. I have no clue, and that is very scary. It's so funny because when this podcast started nearly 3 years ago now, I was very much in this place of, what do I want to do with my life? But I was trying something out. When we started Completely Clueless, I was really just getting my start in this venture of social media and seeing what a life in corporate marketing was going to be like. And now that I've had that experience and I'm not 100% sure that is my forever experience, or at least the experience that I want for myself now, I'm like, where do I go next? And so we're gonna get into it and talk about claiming your dreams and being vulnerable and open about them. Know it can be so hard to actually say the things that you want out loud to other people and have them hear it, because it's like, oh my God, like what happens if that doesn't happen for me, or what happens if I fail? I know that is something that makes me very anxious and scared. And the last time that I was like speaking what I was feeling or wanting inside into existence, like it ended up happening because I put it out there. Like literally a connection that I had who listens to this podcast heard that episode and was like, here, like, let me help you, like, do this internship. And that started a journey for me. So I want to put all of this out there on the table. And I hope that me putting it out on the table will encourage you to also do that in your life and claim the things that you want. So the thing about me was I was never chill about my goals and my dreams. Literally from 7 to 22, like I was so narrow visioned on being on Broadway. And that was all I wanted. It was all I strived for. It was all I thought about was being on Broadway. And I think looking back on it, that's really fucking cool. Like for a kid to be so impassioned and infueled by something that they go after it in every single sense of the way. Like I gave my everything to theater, and looking back on that, I do not regret it. It gave me the work ethic and the creativity and the drive that I have today. And looking back on it, it didn't give me much of an opportunity to explore myself or who I want to be. I think when I graduated from college, and especially because it aligned with the pandemic, there was just a lot of like confusion in me. There was a lot of like, wait, this career isn't exactly how I thought it was going to be. And so to wake up after like over a decade of wanting something and realizing like, wait, I'm not sure I want it anymore, like totally screwed with my identity. Like to this day, there are pieces of myself that just feel like they're missing because I don't know what I want. And so when I quit this job, there was this piece of me that felt sad. This piece of me that was like, oh, what is my purpose? What do I want to do with my life? Like, and the answer is that I have no idea. I have no idea. And it's making me feel lost in my identity. So if you're also feeling like you have no idea what you want to do with your life, and you're feeling like, who the fuck am I? Like, I feel the same exact way, you guys. And I think it's because I knew what I wanted for so long and I defined myself by that thing. I was like, I am a theater girl. I want to be on Broadway. So then when that went away, it was just like, cricket. Who is Sarah Alice Liddy? Like, who the fuck am I? Like, what do I care about? What do I value? Like, and that I think is what I'm really discovering about myself in these last couple of years. So let's get deep about some of the things that deep down inside I know I really want, and I'm afraid to say out loud because of the fear of failure. Being very vulnerable right now in this stage of my life, one of the reasons I quit this job was because I knew I wanted this podcast to be a part of my full-time income. A lot of content creators have multiple streams of income. So that's why I say a part, because I know that usually to be successful in this like creator industry, you need to have those multiple streams. And I love this podcast. I love the mission of it. I love what it brings me. I love what it brings other people. And I want to keep growing it. Like I want more people to listen to this. I want to have products around this brand. Like, I want Completely Clueless to be a brand. There's so many products that I've thought about with this because I really want Completely Clueless to be like a mental wellness brand. Mental health has impacted my life personally, my family's life in very, very big ways. I have been surrounded by so many therapists. My mom is a therapist. My partner is in the psychological world. I've been going to therapy since I was 12. And so I think a big part of me loves to like help other people. I mean, that's a huge reason my partner always talks about it. Why people become therapists, because they usually have struggled a bit with their own shit and like want to help other people. And while I've never been a therapist, I love telling stories. I love helping people through creativity and art. And so this is my form of doing that. And I really want to be able to make it into something, like I look at something like the Skinny Confidential and I'm like, wow, like that is amazing how you could grow this like podcast into like this huge brand. Um, and then I also like would love for this podcast to have live elements to it. Like I've always wanted to have some sort of meetup of some sort. And I don't want to give all my ideas away because I got to, keep them close to my chest, my cards close to my chest. But like that, I want a live element to this and an element where we can connect as a community, not just you and me, but like also you guys with each other. I'm a theater kid. Like, of course, there's parts of me that want to use this as a way to perform and put myself out there. And all of this is really scary to admit because I'm a girl with not the biggest following. I'm not going to say I don't have a following at all. I've worked hard on my personal TikTok at Sarah Alice Liddy to build a platform. And I'm starting to realize that there are people watching and listening because in recent months, I've had experiences where people have come up to me and have let me know that they watch my stuff. And I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Like, what? Like, my partner even said to me one time, they're like, Sarah, do you just like think those like 18,000 people like are just non-existent? And I'm like, yes, I do. Like, I don't even realize it. And so, yeah, like it's scary to say that I want a career in the content creation industry. It's scary to say that I really want my podcast to like grow and be something that I can make my living off of. Because I'm terrified it's not going to work out, you guys. Like I'm like trying to hold back some tears right now, but I'm terrified. Like I'm terrified it's not going to work out. I'm terrified that I'm going to look stupid or like an idiot for wanting and trying to make this work. And I feel like my dad specifically has always encouraged me to go after my dreams, to always go after what I love. And I have made a lot of risks in order to do that. Like I took my gap year because my senior year of college, I auditioned for 22 musical theater programs and I got into one. And I did not want to go to that school. And so my parents supported me and let me take a gap year and get more training. And then the next year I got into 7 schools, 2 of those schools being like my 2 dream schools, which was insane. And so I think I've seen that if I take the risk, good things can come from it. So that was one time. Another time when I was in college, I was really struggling with my mental health and I left school. I left school to seek out outpatient treatment. And while that fixed or that moment of like, wow, this work was good for me, didn't hit as immediately as like my gap year and getting into schools that I really loved did. I think I'm a better person for it. And I think it was the first time that I put myself first and not my work and valued me as the human being and everything. And so that was a big lesson for me to learn that I learned in that risk. Quitting my job, a huge risk. And so I'm not unfamiliar to this position of like, oh shit, what's going to happen next? And it's because I believe I believe that if I keep working, if I keep trying, if I keep showing up, like it is going to work. But it's scary. It's scary to sit here and admit that to you guys. And I admit it in the hopes of you feeling like you guys know that thing inside of you that you want. You know it's in there, and you know it'll like bubble up sometimes, and then you could push it back down, um, and everything. But don't push it down. Don't push it down. Let it sit with you. Journal about it. Talk to somebody about it. I think I'm not a huge journaler. I'm a huge talker. I have very big emotions and I speak them out. And for me, my partner is like my safe space where I can like get out all of my energy on how I feel about my dreams and stuff like that. But get it out there and talk about it. It's okay to want that thing. It's great to want that thing that you want. And it's okay to chase after it in the capacity that you can chase after it. For the last year and a half, like my podcast, this podcast, my content, while I was still doing it, it definitely took a back seat because I had to give my energy to the job that I was at. Like I needed to give that a chance and to see if that was going to work with me. Like I will never forget the therapy session I had before I started that job, where I was telling my therapist how scared I am to have a full-time job because what if these things that I've built and created for myself fall through the cracks? And while they definitely didn't like completely fall through the cracks, they definitely did a little bit. And it was a learning experience. Like I had to go through that, and y'all will have to go through experiences to learn what you want in your life. And that's what I'm trying to preach a little bit with me quitting my job, is that it's not a failure, even though sometimes I feel embarrassed or failure like because of it. But what it actually is was me learning what I do and do not want in my life, and what I am willing to accept and not accept in a workplace environment. And I think with speaking your dreams out into existence, at least for me, there's this element of self confidence. And I feel like over the years, I've lost a lot of my self confidence. College was pretty hard for me. I went through a lot of rejection in the college audition process, and then I got into amazing schools. I went to an incredible program. I went to Elon University for musical theater, which is like an insanely amazing program. But once I got there, I sort of struggled to get people to notice me. And just as people were noticing me and realizing I was good, COVID came. And then the only musical I did while I was at school was with a plastic mask on and lip syncing to my own voice. And so I think, and then we also had a casting director series my senior year in which I did not get an agent at all. And so I think that experience, like those experiences all lined up together, really hit my self confidence. And then I think, being somebody on the internet and trying to get a following and the likes and the views and everything of it all, like, can definitely knock my self-confidence too. And I'll compare myself to other people. And so something I've just noticed within myself is this lack of self-confidence. And it's something that I brought up my last therapy session. And I was like, I need to talk about this. Why don't I believe in myself anymore? How can I believe in myself again and believe that I can do these big, incredible things? Because a lot of the time I don't feel that way. Even though I do put myself out there, like there's a lot of other shit that's like under the surface that doesn't believe that anybody's ever going to pay attention. So if you're also feeling some lack of self-confidence in your dreams, just know that like you are not alone in that. It's very real. And hopefully I can bring you guys some tools from what I learned in therapy and we can be self-confident queens together. But like, I'm not going to sit here and say like my self-confidence is at an all-time high, because it's not whatsoever. It's alarmingly low in that I had to bring it up in therapy and be like, what is happening? But I definitely think my self-confidence affected me going after my theater career. And that's something else that deep down inside I want at some point in my life to be a performer. And I consider this podcasting performing. But more specifically, I think that There is this like, okay, when I watch Gilmore Girls, when I watch Sex Lives of College Girls, I'm like, I want to be on a show like that. Like, I would love to be on TV in that capacity doing shows like those ones. Like, I just love watching them. And when I watch them, I'm like, oh God, like, I would love to be a part of something like that. And honestly, that's sort of what Completely Clueless feels like sometimes is like, are like those shows for, like women. And I'm telling y'all the narrative of my life in a way, for you to get entertainment, lessons, all of that kind of stuff. And there are parts of me that really do miss performing and miss singing and miss expressing myself in that way. You know what I really miss, you guys, is singing in a group with people. When I was at Elon, my class, we would have these numbers for grand night. It was the showcase that we did, but like also other opportunities where you're singing with people. And I just miss that. Oh God, I miss when you and a group of people would just like harmonize in these beautiful ways. Like the way that it feels is just like, it's so good. And I miss that. I miss that stuff. So all of this to say is there is still a yearning and a dream of mine to perform in some way. And I know it will happen. Like guys, I can't describe it, but there is just this like inner feeling inside of me that knows that one day like I will perform again in some capacity, whether that is big Broadway, whether that's on TV, whether that's like through this podcast, whether that is through community theater one day. I will do it. And I just like, I feel it and I know it. And I know that like stepping away from it, from like all the toxicity that happened and having like these few years to like not be that girl and to like hopefully slowly make my way back to it in a way that makes me feel good, in a way that I'm able to handle. Like I feel it. Like I feel it inside. And know that about your dreams too. Like if you had to leave something behind because it wasn't working for you, or like want something and it hasn't happened yet, like just keep believing. Like again, like I said it I think at some point, but like there is this like hope and faith in me that like, and it goes for you guys too, like that if we don't give up on the things that we want, if we stay consistent, if we come back to them, if we work on them little by little, like something will happen because of that, and that is just like my personal belief. And I'm spreading that to you guys and your dreams as well. So, on an emotional, spiritual level, like that is what is in store for me post quitting, is trying to make this content, this podcast, my content creation endeavors work out for myself. Like that is the dream in quitting. The rational part. Now it's like, okay, Sarah, like that is really cute. That's really fun. But like, what are you actually going to do to make money right now? Like, I mean, knock on wood, maybe my podcast will blow up next week. But if it doesn't, like, here is my plan. So my rational what is next moment is I'm going to get a survival job. I am going to get a survival job where I do not need to be creative at all for the job. I need a break from that. I'm not saying that I will never not go back to like full-time marketing corporate girly. Like maybe I will. Maybe I'll find the right job, the right people that I'm happy with doing it in that way, in that capacity for that brand, whatever it may be. But for now and for the foreseeable future, I need to put corporate world in the back of my brain in another corner away from me. I am going to work a survival job. I'm probably going to be working, somewhere in my area because hopefully my partner and I will be moving to the city in midwinter or sometime in the next couple of months. And so right now I'm looking for a seasonal position for like survival job work. I don't want to give like too much away because like I don't want to give too much away about like my location, but probably in a local grocery store, a local small shop around here, at a mall. Like that is kind of like what is on my brain to just keep money coming in. Again, I'm living at home, so I'm not paying any bills, and I have health insurance through my mother's job for the next 2 months. So that is kind of like what I'm doing in like the interim. definitely gonna have to figure out all the insurance things very soon. So I will come to you with that information when I figure it out. But for now, I'm like tucking that in the back of my brain. um, but that is like the plan to at least keep money coming into my pocket and whatnot. And then something that I realized through working in this corporate situation and at this job is that I really value my autonomy. I value the ability to like make my own schedule, to work when I am energized to do so. Like, as somebody with mental health issues and as somebody who probably maybe has a little bit of ADHD, like my dad has ADHD and so do my two brothers. So, like, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a little sprinkle of it in my brain. Um, Sometimes, like, working 9 to 5, like, just doesn't work for me. Um, and so I hope that I can freelance in some sort of a way. And that's really scary to say because I'm scared no one's gonna want me. I'm scared that people are gonna be like, girl, like, I don't care about your freelance. But an alt I'm trying to think of the word. A dream scenario for like my life right now would be that I am freelancing, that I can, do my podcast, do my content, and then I also have clients that I'm freelancing for. And, obviously I have these 2 years of experience of working for a very major fashion brand. Did I say that right? Was that English? I have these 2 years of working at this marketing agency, and I have all the experience, which is a lot of great experience and skills that I've learned from working on this very well-known fashion brand. And so I'm like, okay, like there's, fashion companies in the city that, need help for an event or whatever. And I could help them make content, and not only just like make content, but I can help ideate and come with ideas for this event. So it's not just like a plain old event recap, because like those can sometimes be boring to watch. So like definitely, could do like content creation for other people as a freelancer. I've also thought about, because on my TikTok, I talk about podcasting and stuff, and people always have questions and stuff like that. So I've started to think about opening a stand store and opening up coaching for people who really want to learn how to do this. I've been doing this for almost 3 years completely by myself. I have a lot of knowledge around this and would love to help other people do it. I'm also hoping that maybe through that as well, I can edit people's podcast videos and short form videos. That would like be honestly like really great to just do like a bunch of freelancing in like the podcast, like video, short form video space. Like I love making interview videos. It's something I did a lot for this fashion brand. And I love finding those moments of like, oh, like this person saying this in that way, like that's going to go viral or that's going to grab people's attention. It's very fun for me. Like I would love to do that for people. So, I'm going to have a survival job for hopefully as long as it takes. Hopefully it won't take that long to build up a clientele of freelance. But that is sort of like what I am, like my rational mind is thinking moving forward. And things change. That may change. I might come back in a month and say, hey, I got this amazing job and I'm taking that. But for what I want to work out for me and the time and energy that I need to give that, I'm feeling like freelance or some sort of like job that I can go to where I do not need to be on 24/7 and I don't need to give all my creative energy to is going to be the best. And something else that like I didn't mention in my last episode was I quit my job because I knew I was moving home. I knew I was moving home and I wasn't going to have any bills to pay. And so that was a huge reason why I quit. If I was still living in the city and paying rent, like I don't know if I would have quit. I knew that I had a safe place to land in terms of like my financial state. And so it's such a privilege that like I'm in this position right now because I know there are so many people out there that want to quit their job, but they have bills to pay and they can't just like up and quit. So I know that I'm in like a very lucky situation. And that is a huge, huge reason why I quit, was that I knew I was moving home. I knew that I wasn't going to need to pay rent, need to pay bills, need to pay for groceries, etc. So that is sort of like the rational things that like went into my decision and where I feel like I want to go next. One last thing I want to tell you guys that I'm doing before we wrap up this episode, but something else that I am doing in this time is using my network. I am reaching out to anybody I know that is in the like content freelance space, in the social media marketing freelance space, and asking like, hey, can I set up time with you to talk about like what you do? Can I get you coffee? Can I get you lunch, dinner? And like just have an open conversation about how you do this and how you make it work and how you like sustain life and an income off of this. How do you make insurance work, etc. So that is something else that I would encourage you to do, even if you're still in your job and you're looking to move, is use your network. I got my last 2 jobs through my network, and so I feel like I've seen the power of that, and that's another reason why I'm so like encouraging you to speak your dreams out there and put it out there, because you never know who is listening and who may need you. And so that is something I'm doing a lot right now, even in getting a survival job. Like I knew somebody who worked at a local store around here, and I was like, hey, like I quit my job. Like, is there any seasonal or holiday help that you guys need? And I'm going for an interview on Monday. Like, just reach out to people you know. I know it can be awkward and uncomfortable, and that comes from somebody who literally just like hates confrontation. And this is not like bad confrontation, who just like hates doing that stuff because it can be awkward. However, I've seen the power of it, and so that is something I'm really utilizing in this time, is like, how can I meet with people that I know who are doing what I want to be doing and learning from them? Again, they may need some help with something, or, they may have a client that they need to pass on, and then they can pass it to you. You know what I mean? So use the network, use the people you know, and also like support the people that are doing the things that you want to be doing. Like, I feel like that is something that I'm really starting to do and learn, is that like, if I want people to show up for me, like I need to show up for people. And so I'm trying to like, first, specifically for content creation, is just like, comment on those people that are always commenting on my stuff, going to things that people, events that people are having, and I can show my support, because, one day, hopefully I can have an event and they will be there supporting me because I came and supported them. So that's my little spiel on networking. Now I think the entirety of my job quitting story, and while I may not speak to it in this like huge capacity, again, it's definitely going to come up. It's definitely going to keep coming up, because like, duh, like it's going to be my personality for like the next couple of months, probably, is the girl that quit her 9 to 5. But I just want to, again, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for encouraging me. And I hope that you found some inspiration and encouragement in this, and that you took away that it's okay to speak your dreams out and to be vulnerable and to claim the things that you want, whether that's even just with yourself. Even just saying it to yourself can be so powerful, and like can just give you so much information about the things that you want or may want to explore. So thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode. Please do not forget to rate, review, subscribe, follow, all of the things. It is super duper helpful. Again, I love DMing with you guys, so thank you for those who have done it. Please don't feel afraid to do it. Like, I will answer. I know I can get a little DM scared sometimes. Like sometimes I'll get DMs. I'm like, oh my God, like I love this message, but I'm like kind of afraid to respond. Like, I'm working through that fear and I'm pushing through it. So please DM me and let's chat. You can follow the podcast on all social media, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at Completely Clueless Pod. You can follow me and my personal journey on at Sarah Alice Liddy, and that's TikTok and Instagram. I hope you all have a terrific Tuesday and a wonderful week. And do not forget to be motherfucking clueless. Love you guys.